breakfast ball at WSUTV, Cincinnati and Wichita State at Bark in the Park Day. Here, the rubber match of a three-game series between Cincinnati, the Bearcats, and Wichita State University here at X Stadium, Tyler Field. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the ballpark. Shane Dennis alongside Denning Gehrig, and Wichita State and Cincy. Denning kind of traded haymakers. It was all Cincinnati Friday night, and then yesterday afternoon, Shocker offense got really cranked up into high gear. 5 guys had a multi-hit game. It was a couple of young guys and a couple of old guys that led the way.
Just a great bounce-back effort from the Shocker offense. 15 hits, and it was the 3 through 7 spots in the order doing the damage. Those 4 guys right there going 11 for 17 with 8 RBI. Big-time performances, and that right field platoon with Hunter Gibson and Dayton Dugas continues to pay dividends for Wichita State.
Shockers banged out 15 hits on their way to the victory yesterday. And at the front of the line, Luke Ritter. If he gets a hit today, he will join only 11 people in program history with hitting streaks of 20 games or more.
Multi-hit games in each of the first 2 games of this series, and 10 of those 19 games in which he's recorded a hit in this streak, he's had 2 or more hits, so it's not like he's just getting 1 a game. He has really been swinging the bat well.
In their last 8 American Conference games, Shocker starting pitchers have only had 3 quality starts. 2 of them have been by this guy, Tyler Davis.
Just set the tone, I think. Came out and gave Wichita State a chance and then turned it over to Cody Tyler, who closed it out for his first save of the season. 3 very strong innings and ultimately a very complete game for Wichita State, both offensively and on the mound.
So the coaching staff will turn it over to Preston Snavely, who will get his first start in American play, and the series is on the line. The winner of this series will win 2-1 and move on to next weekend. The Shockers, it'll be South Florida coming in here next weekend. And Preston Snavely, if he can avoid the free pass, I think Denning will be in good shape.
And it seems like he's been doing a much better job of that as of late, attacking the strike zone, utilizing all of his pitches, and just being aggressive out there on the bump.
Starting lineups and the first pitch coming up next for you here on WSU TV.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000-square-foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student-athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Another great day for baseball, even though we're not to noontime yet. 10:30 first pitch here, local time. It is 72 degrees already, on our way to the low to mid-80s by the time this one will be finished. And Denning, it's not an ideal start time, but it's not totally foreign to these guys. This is a conference tournament type of start time.
It's still, though, you have to make an adjustment mentally. You have to be locked in at a much earlier time than you typically are on a Sunday. At this time, usually the guys are just getting to the ballpark, maybe having a team breakfast and starting to get themselves loosened up. It's a different type of atmosphere today.
With a left-hand pitcher for Cincinnati starting, it'll be Dayton Dugas in right field, and Luke Ritter will move to second base. So keep Alex Jackson in there. He's been swinging a good bat. He'll play left field again today. Denning, that's two out of 3 of the games that he started in this series against the left-hand pitcher.
And he's done very well. He's been swinging the bat very well as of late, and I think Todd Butler wants to keep him in there as long as possible.
Similar starting lineup for Cincinnati. They'll change out DHs. We'll see Cale Baker down there in the 8 spot. Everybody else pretty familiar. And the first pitch of the game is a called strike. So we are underway here this morning from X Stadium as the Shockers and Cincinnati traded routes. It was all Bearcats Friday night. And the Shockers used a late explosion to pull away from the Bearcats yesterday afternoon. Preston Snavely trying to build off his last start inning, 6 innings, 8 hits, but only 2 runs allowed on the 24th of April against Kansas.
Did a good job of limiting the damage, and as we mentioned, just limited free passes, only the 1 walk against the Jayhawks, and fastball command is pretty much everything for him. Everything plays off of his fastball. He has a good slider, but typically goes to it when he's ahead and counts.
Kyle Motice has 4 hits in the series. This is a team that has 22, although really both teams took turns pounding the other in one particular game. Shockers had 15 of their hits yesterday. Motice skies one to shallow center, and that's how we start the ball game.
One thing that will be a little different from yesterday is that the sunlight will not be as much of a factor. It is not quite the same high sky that we saw with the start time yesterday afternoon, and I believe there was a pop-up early in the game yesterday that really caused some problems on the left side of the infield. This one fairly routine for Vickers.
So here's Joey Thomas, their catcher. He's 3 out of 9 in the series. Because of the lopsided scores on Friday and then yesterday, we've had our share of hits. 0-1 to Thomas. However, we haven't had many extra base hits. The Bearcats have had 20 singles and 2 doubles. The Shockers have had 22 singles, a double, and a home run. So just 2 extra base hits for both teams.
And that's typically a big part of Wichita State's offense. I mean, from the very beginning of this season, they established that it was going to be a much more powerful team. 43 home runs as opposed to only 24 hit by their opponents. So extra base power, a big part of what the Shockers like to do offensively. Cincinnati not quite as much, but by no means a team that lacks that extra base pop.
And because the Shockers have had just the 1 home run in the 2 games in this series, today marks the first time that there have been more games played than home runs hit by the Shockers. They have, to Denning's point, really flexed their muscles early and often this year, but 43 home runs in 44 games. This is the first time that we've dipped below 1 home run per game. 2-2 to Joey Thomas. And oddly enough, the only home run in the series for Wichita State was hit by a guy that didn't have any, Travis Young. Ritter to the backhand, sets and fires 2 away. Good start for Preston Snavely. In American play, Wichita State's team earned run average through 17 games, 4.82. But there's probably not much of a book on Preston Snavely, and if there is, it's maybe a little skewed because he's a midweek type of guy, 7 starts, all of them in the non-conference because of injury and circumstance and some maybe fatigue. Preston gets his chance here today.
Just because he's been pitching in the midweek, though, doesn't mean that he hasn't had to face some really quality opponents. Oklahoma State twice, Central Arkansas with their good offense, of course, Kansas and Missouri out of the SEC. So he has seen teams that can swing the bat.
Connor McVeigh's been swinging the bat. 5 hits and 9 at-bats in the series. 556. And that one's off the end of the bat, just enough. Skied into left. Jackson's got it measured. And that's that. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Preston Snavely here in the first.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Happy Bark at the Park Day. Good morning from Eck Stadium. Cincinnati goes up and down in order in the first. Shane and Denning with you here at Eck Stadium and Tyler Field. Ritter, Young, and Bohm will greet the defense of Cincinnati. It's pretty much been exactly the same the first 2 days of the series. Weimer, Haberkorn, Ramey in the outfield. The only change has been at the DH spot, so the defense has been exactly the same. They've made 2 errors in the first 2 games of the series, and they have turned 6 double plays and a triple play. So really, for Cincinnati, you could argue the defense has ruled the day. And Luke Ritter, the hottest hitter the Shockers have to offer, will lead it off, and he's really eliminated any of that hitting streak drama really early in both of the games of the series. He'll be facing left-hander Aldred, and that clips the inside corner, 0-1.
Got his base hit in the first inning on Friday, in the 3rd inning yesterday, so fans have not had to wait around for Ritter to continue his streak.
In the air to center, well hit. Haberkorn's back there and races to the spot for the first out. Ritter very aggressive early in counts and early in games, and true to form on the second pitch. Gives one a ride to center, but he's the first out in the Shocker first. And
just like with J.T. Perez and Nathan Kroger, Cam Aldred's going to be a strike thrower. So there's going to be fastballs early in counts that are in the strike zone. Aldred has a little bit better strikeout numbers, but you see something hittable within the first couple of pitches, put your best pass on it.
Last weekend, Cincinnati played outside the conference. They played Kansas. Young tried to bunt his way on. Aldred, in the series against Kansas, 7 strong innings, allowed 3 earned runs. Most of the time, he is a 5 to 6 inning kind of guy. He really was efficient against Kansas, 96 pitches in his 7 innings. But he has at times battled his command, and that has drove up his pitch count from time to time. Last 3 starts in conference, he's gone exactly 5 innings and given up 3 runs, 3 earned runs anyway, 2 out of the 3 times. So there are some hits and runs to be had, at least statistically, in the past against Cam Aldred, 6'3" lefty from Batavia, Ohio.
Sometimes on a Sunday, all you're looking for is a guy that can give you 5 innings, and you just turn it over to the bullpen, hope that your bats have done enough to support the staff, because most teams in general are just not going to have the depth to have a quality arm going out there on a Sunday and save guys in the bullpen for a Sunday. So if you can get into the middle to late innings with your Sunday guy, you'll take it every time.
Aldred's done a nice job, at least in the early going, of running that fastball in on those right-hand hitters. First pitch of the game was a called strike. That pitch almost knocked the bat out of Travis Young's hands, who's been good in the conference. He's a .300 hitter in American play with a home run and 6 RBI and 40 at-bats. That one gets away from the catcher, and Thomas will have to throw it down to first to complete the strikeout. 2 up and 2 down in the Shocker first.
This is the kind of pitch that fastball in sets up. It opens up the rest of the plate for you and allows Aldred to kind of expand the zone and gets Travis Young to chase a pitch down. This is not an easy play for Thomas either with Young's speed. Had to hustle out from behind the dish to make the throw.
So now Alec Bohm. Bohm, team's leading hitter in this series, 4 out of 8. He's driven in 3. And he gives one a ride to right field. Ramey going back. He's at the track. He's at the wall. And the Shockers lead it. Alec Bohm goes deep. That is home run number 10. RBI 44. Shockers dent the scoreboard first on Alec Bohm's first extra base hit of the series.
He had 3 hits to the opposite field yesterday, but none of them look quite like this. This is a first pitch fastball out away from him, gets the arms extended, and just skies it out of here to right field. Just a little bit of a breeze that may have been the difference, as it just does get over the right field wall.
So Bohm now has hit exactly half of his home runs in the conference. That's 20 runs batted in for Alec, and now his 18th league game. So 1-0 Wichita State. And now Troutwine. Gunner with a good series has gotten his season's average up above 300. Tardy on a pitch away, 0-2. That is home run number 6 surrendered by Cam Aldred this year. And a 3-pitch strikeout after Bohm's home run. So at the end of 1, the Shockers lead it here early.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Park in the Park here at X Stadium in Tyler Field. Beautiful day, not only for baseball, but for man's best friend out there. Wonder if they'll be counted in today's attendance numbers.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. You put me on the spot. They've got 4
fair.
legs. That counts as 2 people, I think.
2 eyes, though.
Oh, fair point.
Anyway, second inning, Preston Snavely zipped through the Cincinnati order. It only took him 12 pitches in the top of the inning. He'll get Joey Weimer to start, the Cincinnati left fielder. Weimer, nothing for 6. He has walked a couple of times in the series. Early returns on Preston Snavely, Denning. Looked like he pretty comfortable out there this morning.
I'd like to see it. Going right after guys, was not afraid of that top of the Cincinnati order, which has done so much damage in this series. Motice, Thomas, and McVeigh had combined for 12 hits through the first 2 games. So those are the dangerous trio. And Snavely attacked him aggressively.
Tried the corner and missed. 2-0 to Weimer. Weimer among a handful that have really struggled offensively for the Bearcats inside the conference. They are 9-8 in American play. But Weimer is just 6 of 37. That's 162. And he struck out more than a third of the time. Weimer, Santiago, and Bremner. High, shallow pop up to left. Out goes Vickers, makes the call. Jackson probably could have coasted in and make the catch, but that's something that Shocker fans and his teammates have grown to appreciate about Trey Vickers. He could actually go into medium depth left field if he had enough air under the ball and make plays. Got a good drop step most of the time.
Yeah, as an infielder, you're taught to keep pursuing the baseball until someone calls you off. And so Vickers ends up in shallow left field making this play. You'd like to see a guy coming in making a catch rather than backpedaling, but seemed to have that one all the way.
Eric Santiago has been a real thorn in the Shockers' side. He's got 5 hits, all of them singles. The Bearcats have, I suppose, they won Friday night 8-2, but they've kind of missed a couple of their better hitters in the lineup due to injury. One's here, one's not. And I think it's fair to say that they've put a patchwork lineup together here down the season stretch. Gunnar Troutwine, as he's wont to do, not afraid to go out and talk to a pitcher and nurse him through the last part of an inning or an early part of an at-bat.
he'll do this if a guy misses with 2 straight fastballs. Basically, he'll go out there and make sure that he's locked in, or if he sees something mechanically that needs to be adjusted. But over the last several games, we've seen him do this increasingly more and more. And a lot of times it's with younger guys. Saw him with Liam Eddy on Friday, coaching him up.
That one's starched into left field, but back with a little bit of room is Jackson in front of the track, 2 away. 5 up and 5 down for Preston Snavely. Anyway, I was talking about that Cincinnati has been a little less power-laden, certainly with Manny Rodriguez not making an appearance in the first 2 games of the series. We've been told he's been available to pinch hit, and honestly, Denning, with his 9 home runs and 304 average, he wasn't needed Friday because they were way ahead, and he wasn't needed yesterday because they were way behind. He's normally their everyday shortstop.
Let's force this guy, Dondre Bremner, into the lineup, who's gone just 1 for 7. But anytime you lose a senior shortstop, that's going to have an impact more than just the numbers. And even though Rodriguez brings a lot to the plate, you feel like a guy who's been in the program for that long is going to have an impact in the clubhouse, and on the road that can play up even more.
Motais has kind of been the table setter, and Rodriguez pretty much knocked him in all season long. Motais is their leadoff guy, and he's leading the team in runs scored, and Rodriguez is leading them in RBI. But despite Motais' 4 hits in the series, he's only come around to score once. And he popped out to start the game. 2-1 to Dondre Bremner. Bremner's one of those guys that I talked about that has struggled inside the league. He's 6 for 34. They've got 4 guys that get a fair amount of at-bats that are below 200 in the league. And all but one of them are in the lineup today. Going to carry a little bit to center, but Young is under it, and that is 2 perfect innings for Preston Snavely in his American debut.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Honestly, both pitchers have had a pretty easy time of it. 2 innings for Preston Snavely, nary a base runner. 1 for Cam Aldred, gave up a home run, but 2 strikeouts besides that. It'll be Genesta, Duga, and Jackson due up to face the left-hander Cam Aldred here in inning number 2. Rubber game of the 3-game series. All Cincy Friday, all Wichita State yesterday. Grayson Genesta is 2 out of 5 with 3 walks in the series. Aldred will get a couple of left-hand batters here in this frame. Genesta, and then 2 batters later, Alex Jackson. 2 quick strikes, 0-2 to Grayson.
Been a while since Grayson has left the yard. His Bash brother teammate Alec Bohm, of course, did so in the first.
And Aldred not messing around today. He's attacking the strike zone and has put away Troutwine to end the last half inning, and now Genesta last 3 outs, 3 of the 4, getting the strikeout.
This is pretty tough left on left. Big 6'3" frame, and that's a nice little cutting action slider working away from the bat of Genesta. painted a couple fastballs and then dots that one just off the plate. Nicely executed.
Dugas started Friday night, went 2 out of 3 with a pair of singles. And he shoots one to the right side for a base hit. A couple of things to know about Dayton Dugas. He loves left-hand pitching, and he loves early count attacking fastballs against said lefties.
I think both of his base hits on Friday were early in counts when he was not waiting around. They were both first pitch swings on Friday, and he just continues to bludgeon southpaws. A lot of the base hits, though, have been coming to right and right center field. So he is letting the ball travel, not getting jumpy up there, looking for something hard and straight.
Not too many people try to steal off of Aldred. Jackson going after the first pitch, came up empty. Opposing base stealers are 3 for 5 this year against Cam Aldred. Dugas, a fast base runner. Not a great base stealer, although he's 5 out of 7.
And you better be ready to hit today. Aldred is going to throw you a fastball for a strike in the first 1 or 2 pitches. Better have your hitting shoes on.
Well, you'd never know. He's had games of 3, 3, and 5 walks. That's off the plate. His last conference start, he had a tough go of it. 6 hits, 5 walks, pair of doubles surrendered, hit 2 batters against UConn back on the 22nd of April, but doesn't look like the same guy. Not this morning. Dugas waited just a split second to pick up the move and then went tumbling back to the bag. So a 2-out home run by Bohm in the first, 1-out single by Dugas here in the second inning. Jackson laid off that one, and Aldred tempted him, but couldn't get him to go.
Tried to follow the same formula that he did against Genesta. Fastballs for strikes and then expand the zone away. Jackson not tempted by the last 2 sliders. Now may get something that's a little more like a fastball here on 2-2.
Alex Jackson, 3 out of 7 in the series. And he went back out there again and got him. So Cam Aldred already with 4 strikeouts in 1 2/3.
And another very good sequence. The 2 sliders prior to that one weren't quite tempting enough for Jackson to go after. That one dotted maybe just off the plate or on the black. And even if Jackson does make contact with that, not much he's going to do with it.
Aldred went 7 scoreless back on March 25th against Tulane, struck out 9. That's his season high. So when he's on, he's tough to deal with, and he's off to a good start. Trey Vickers is not. He's 0 for 7 in this series, and he's really been in a tailspin over his last 15 games. One and one to Trey. He's a 175 hitter over his last 15 games. Tells you how hot he was to start with, though, Denning. His season's average sets at a more than respectable 284, but it's really taken a hit, that batting average, over the last 3 weeks or so.
He was hanging around 375 for several games after he returned from injury.
Tries to squeeze it up the middle, and a great diving stop by Mo Tice, and he flips to Bremer just in time. So Vickers robbed again, and the Shockers go fairly quietly in the second.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee. Steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Six up and six down for Preston Snavely, facing an American team for the first time in his career. A beautiful morning for baseball. Going to get to 82, 83, somewhere in there. It's been a great weather weekend all weekend long. This is the third game of a 9-game homestand. This will wrap up the home portion of Wichita State's schedule. Their final 3 games of the season will be at Memphis.
Leading off the Cincinnati third, center fielder.
We will have a couple of midweek games here on WSUTV. Oral Roberts and South Dakota State come to town Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively, as this homestand continues. Shockers trying to win the series against Cincinnati. This is their first all-time meeting in the program's histories. Swing and a miss by Treg Haberkorn, the center fielder. Haberkorn, 3 hits, one of them a double. Also been hit by 3 pitches in the series, so he's lived on base. Over but low and change up. Haberkorn thought about it and then held up just in time. Baker and Ramey coming up next.
Haberkorn, one of 10 seniors on the Cincinnati roster, and they have 10 juniors as well. So upperclassmen laden. They have 2 freshmen in the lineup, but one of those, Bremner, is not the everyday shortstop typically. That's Manuel Rodriguez, who is a senior and, of course, is out of there today.
The one bugaboo for Preston Snavely this year, and mostly last year, although he didn't get as many chances, is that right there, the free pass. So there's your first base runner for Cincinnati. He's had a series of outings, Preston has, where he's gone 4, 3, 2, 4, and 3 in the walk department. He only had 1 walk in 6 innings against KU his last time out there. But he has now walked 20 in 31 2/3 to go along with 9 hit batters. So it's almost 1 free pass per inning, and that's a dangerous way to live. And again, he's been better lately, but his success, I think, safe to say, is predicated on him throwing the ball over the plate.
And he has good enough stuff where if he's in the strike zone, he's not going to get hard. Not going to get fastballs that are hit around just because his natural movement and his velocity cause enough problems where if he's in the zone, then it's not going to get squared up. Less than a hit per inning. The strikeouts, very good, right around 1 per inning. So you feel like if he can just command all of his pitches and just work in the strike zone consistently, he's got all the tools to become a really good part of this weekend rotation.
Well, these 2 guys, Baker and Ramey, are a combined 3 for 42 this year. And certainly nobody is trying to throw balls out of the strike zone. Snavely is right at the front of the list. But when you got to throw a strike and got to get ahead, these are the guys we're talking about. And taking off and stealing second base is Haberkorn as Baker swings through a pitch. So that's kind of pennies from heaven with Haberkorn on there and Baker and Ramey coming up next to try to knock him in. He steals his way into scoring position.
Really good pitch for Troutwine to throw on. Fastball high. And a swing and a miss by Baker. I'm not sure if it was a designed hit and run, but regardless, that was an excellent opportunity for Gunner, and it looked like he just kind of short-armed the throw. Not much of a chance for Ritter to pick it and apply the tag.
So that's stolen base number 6 in the series for the Bearcats. And a swing and a miss. Big strikeout. Good job by Snavely to come back and get Baker. K.O. Baker is now 1 for 18 with 10 strikeouts this year. So there's one. And here comes Jordan Ramey, who is 2 out of 25 with 13 strikeouts this year. Ramey in the series, 1 for 7 with 3 punch-outs. So one of his 2 hits has come this weekend.
Hey, be ready for 6-5, Vic.
6'5", Preston Snavely against 5'6", Jordan Ramey. Ramey, we talked about the double plays. Cincinnati's turned 6 to go with a triple play, but Ramey may be the defensive play of the weekend, if not the year. He went diving out of play down the right field line to catch a foul fly by Trey Vickers here Friday night. Sports Center top 3 play later on that evening.
Shockers have to be aware of Ramey's ability to bunt. Tried to do so both on Friday and Saturday, and even with 1 out, may not be a true sacrifice, but Bohm is playing about even with the bag at third just in case Ramey does square around.
And you got to make sure you don't fall asleep to have Habercorn try to swipe third.
More than capable of that. Yep.
Not out of the question. That steal of second was Habercorn's 3rd of the series. So Snavely mindful of that. Bearcats have now swiped 62. They have 3 guys with 11 or more. A good job by Snavely not only to, in some ways, freeze the runner. Habercorn was dancing a little bit, but he stopped him and then threw a good strike to Jordan Ramey.
Yeah, step 1 with a runner at second base is stop the feet. If a runner out there can get a walking or even a running lead, it's very difficult for a catcher to have any kind of a chance to gun him out at third. And so as a pitcher, you've got to do all the work. Oh, and Habercorn there tried to take that running lead and tried to time up Snavely.
Well, you wouldn't think that Ramey's going to get a fastball here on 0-2, so Habercorn may be trying to guess with Snavely, even though I don't know if that's necessary. If you really think that Snavely's going to throw a slider, you don't have to guess with him.
It's also very important for the middle infielders to work Habercorn a little bit, and it looks like in this scenario it's going to be Luke Ritter's responsibility just to work him. Flash him behind at second base, tap your glove, make sure you let him know that you're in the vicinity.
On the other hand, Habercorn's already in scoring position. Get thrown out at third would not be wise here. You could get an opportunity to throw out Habercorn, get Ramey, and not have Motais come to bat at all if you get a little too reckless here. One and two.
Have to imagine this hasn't been easy for Jordan Ramey trying to stay locked in with the length of this battle more at second base than at home plate. It's been a long time between pitches with the inside moves and Snavely stepping off. And he tried it again. He has gone almost halfway to third base twice now. I'm not sure if he is just trying to get Snavely to balk or if he's actually trying to steal without Snavely even coming set.
Well, if Snavely doesn't balk and Ritter goes to the bag, he's picked.
This is a situation I think Preston Snavely just needs to focus on Jordan Ramey.
Yeah, let's not overthink this here.
If you throw your best pitch here on 2-2, you're going to get a guy who's hitting 080.
How about that? Habercorn was bound and determined to get to third, and just as we thought, and alluded to, you mess around, you might not even get your best hitter to the plate. 1-5. Habercorn is picked. And when Habercorn bounced off of there halfway to second and didn't get him to balk either time, you'd have thought, okay, he's not going to flinch. This is not worth it.
I don't know if I've ever seen a runner trying to do that 3 times without a pitcher coming set. And Scott Guggens was not happy with third base umpire Mark Huseman. He's getting in his face right now. I don't have a clue why. There wasn't any way that Habercorn got the hand in under Bohm's tag, was there?
I don't suppose. I mean, it's the throw beat him badly kind of thing, and the umpires are going to probably err on the side of that. Did the throw beat him if it's a bang-bang play? But
unless he thought that Snavely did balk and
right.
maybe moved his front leg instead of his back leg when stepping off. That Habercorn didn't argue this at all, so he thought he was out.
So 2-2 to Jordan Ramey with now the bases clear.
Third base umpires have just gotten worn out by the Cincinnati coaching staff and dugout in this series.
And if you watched yesterday and saw that there was a penalty ball assessed to a Cincinnati pitcher, it was because the team took too long getting out defensively. Took more than 2 minutes. And Snavely has walked an 080 hitter after all, and that will bring Mo Tice to the plate. However, the caught stealing at third still looms pretty large. Second walk of the inning.
Not only a guy hitting 080, but a guy you were ahead of 0-2. Snavely's got to throw a fastball for a strike at some point in that at-bat, because now you get into the dangerous part of the order once again.
Took care of Mo Tice in pretty short order to start the game. Threw a lot of strikes to him, got him to hit a little flare to the shortstop. Now, Ramey, obviously not on there very much, but he has stolen 2 bases. There he goes. And into center field it goes. So they're going to end up with a guy at third for Mo Tice after all. And Gunnar Troutwine has seen better throws here in the inning. 2 stolen bases rather, and an error. And so what the Shockers wanted to avoid, Cincinnati ends up creating. Runner at third for Mo Tice. One ball and no strike to count to the second baseman. And Gunnar Troutwine is peeved, partially at his pitcher, partially at himself, I'm sure, but Snavely had this inning right where he wanted it, and within a couple of pitches, now he's kind of back on the tightrope. And it all has to do with what you talked about at the very top of the show, Denning. Fastball command for Preston Snavely. And what leads you to believe it's concentration, Denning, is it was 6 up and 6 down, where he was really slicing and dicing the Bearcats lineup. It's not like he struggled to start with. This is just a third inning thing.
Now it's a matter of, can you flush it? Can you get past the mistakes you just made and focus on probably the best hitter in this Cincinnati lineup? No.
Nope. Todd Butler's wanting to know if that either hit the bat or Mo Tice was not able to get the bat back in time, and neither is the case. All right, he did get the bat back in time, it would appear. So this has got to be maddening for Mike Steele. You had a guy that was absolutely cruising through the first 2 innings, and now 2 walks and a hit batter to the very bottom part of the order, and you're painting yourself into a little bit of a corner. You can still get out of this with no damage, but boy, you're breathing a lot of life into that third base Cincinnati dugout here.
Bottom line, this inning should have been over with the 2-2 count to Ramey with 2 outs and nobody aboard. One of those pitches had to be a strike. And now it's Preston Snavely who's created this jam in and of itself, and the dangerous part of the order coming up. I'm sure Mike Steele is trying to let him know that, yes, you've made some mistakes in this inning, but still no runs across. Just make 1 or 2 good pitches, get out of this frame unscathed, and then try and get back on the same course you were in innings 1 and 2.
And now if you're Cincinnati, do you try to steal Motice into scoring position? Do you try a delayed double steal? Does he get into a rundown if Troutwine throws it down to second? Troutwine has bounced one to the shortstop side of second and sailed one to the first base side of second, and a couple of steal attempts here in the inning. So Shocker defense hasn't exactly been airtight. Thomas helped him out big time. That ball may have never been a strike.
To answer your question, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Motice is on the move. Seems like Cincinnati feels like they have something on Preston Snavely where they can get good jumps. Didn't work out with Habercorn, but Ramey, of course, swiped earlier in the inning.
His command certainly has been spotty here in the inning, but I have a feeling that some of this may be Preston Snavely's trust in his own stuff. Seems like he is picking the corners quite a bit, not just today, but when he's been in trouble. Well, he got into the trouble and helped get himself out of it. After all that, it is still 1-0 Wichita State.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, even though Wichita State has a 1-0 lead, it's up for some debate who has the sharpest pitcher at the moment. Cam Aldred, save for one pitch that he was just trying to get ahead of Alec Boehm with, has really commanded the strike zone beautifully. Preston Snavely did for 2 of the 3 innings and then messed around and got into quite a jam in the third before getting out of it. So here we go to the bottom of the third. Ross Cadena is the last guy to face Cam Aldred for the first time, then back to the top of the order again.
WSU third, designated hitter, Ross Cadena.
Cadena got to start at DH yesterday and really turned in a pretty good performance at the plate. He made a bid to go 2 out of 4, had to settle for the 1 hit, scored a run, drove in 1, but really swung the bat well all 4 times he was up there. And true to what Denning talked about, you're going to get a fastball early in the count from Cam Aldred.
I have liked how Ross Cadena does not wait around. He hasn't seen more than 3 pitches in any one of his plate appearances in this weekend series.
Good job by Motice to take that extra bounce out of the equation. He came charging to get Cadena. So, 1 time through the order, only 25 pitches thrown from Cam Aldred. Here's Luke Ritter. Hit one pretty well to center field his first time up there. 0 for 1. So Boehm hit a first pitch out. Duga hit a first pitch into right field for a single. Cadena went after the first pitch. Jackson actually swung and missed at the first pitch he saw. Be ready. Pulled the string. It's 0-2. Ritter is now challenging and legitimately challenging for the team lead in batting average. You can believe that. Came into the game just 6 percentage points behind Bohm, although Alec has pulled away a little after Ritter flew out and Bohm homered. But inside the conference, Luke Ritter is the Shockers' leading hitter. .353 coming in today. And boy, Cam Aldred has the Shocker hitters on notice. You got one, but it hasn't taken him much pitch-wise to get one time through the order. And it looks like it's going to be tough sledding and stuff unless something changes drastically with Aldred here.
After establishing fastball command through the first couple of innings, he just showed what he can do against a good right-handed hitter with some off-speed stuff. Started Ritter with, I think, 2 changeups, maybe something with a little wrinkle in it. Then after expanding the zone away and up, threw a really good pitch on 2-2.
And a first pitch changeup to Young is waved at and missed. So Aldridge really got it going.
You're going to get swings like that when you've shown that you're going to attack with fastballs early in counts. Guys will go up there, of course, looking dead red. And if you can pull the string effectively, you're going to get a lot of guys out in front.
Same pitch. Young got a piece of it, but it's 0-2. And boy, Aldridge just pumping one strike after another in there. Cam Aldridge's walks to innings pitched, good, but not great. 23 walks in 60 1/3. So that's roughly 2 walks for every time he goes out there. But, as we mentioned, there have been a handful of outings where he's only lasted 5 innings, and a few times less than that. But he woke up on the right side of the bed this morning, apparently. Early start time hasn't affected him one bit. Been razor sharp. Shockers go down in order for the first time, but that is 5 strikeouts for Cam Aldred as we're through 3.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Well, a bounce-back inning opportunity for Preston Snavely as he was really wild in the 3rd inning. Lived to tell about it, but he had a little Jekyll and Hyde act in the 3rd compared to the first 2 innings. Shane Dennis and Denning Garrigan. Do you have an explanation, Denning, besides just concentration in that 3rd inning?
I think that's pretty much hitting the nail on the head. And for Snavely, that's kind of been what he's battled his entire Shocker career. And you never question the stuff. You know he looks the part. Big 6'5", intimidating physical presence out there. Looked razor sharp through the first 2 innings, breezing through 6 up, 6 down, and then 3 free passes in the 3rd. That's just between the ears in my estimation, but nothing that can't be solved. And pitching coach Mike Steele, I imagine, was in his ear at some point in that last half inning.
So still a manageable pitch count because of the quick 1-2-3 inning in the first and the second. So we'll see how the fourth goes. That was up a little bit to Connor McVeigh. McVeigh had one down around the end of the bat just enough as he flied out to left field in his first at bat. So the line so far on Preston Snavely, no hits, but 2 walks and a hit batter, 1 strikeout, and pretty much a 50-50 split, balls and strikes, thanks to that laborious third inning. Got the call there from Doyle Suter, home plate umpire, and it's 1-2.
We shouldn't forget, though, this is a guy in Snavely who last year had an ERA that was north of 9. So for him to be sitting at 3.86 right now shows the kind of development that he has already put in and the kind of growth he has made as a pitcher.
Way out in front, and will this stay in? Boom! Leans over and couldn't get there. Couldn't get over there quite quick enough to be quote-unquote camped under it and then lean over the barrier. It was close. And to Denning's point, last year, Snavely walked 10 in 6 2/3. He was basically a one batter at a time type of guy. They tried to get him in, get him out, retire one hitter, but more times than not, Snavely ended up walking him. And you can tell, he's testing the patience of Gunnar Troutwine, who's getting worn out back there. But, as we also mentioned, it's not as if Snavely's trying to work behind. You got an aggressive mindset, but sometimes the arm doesn't agree. And now it's 3-2.
He has pulled a lot of fastballs into that left-hand hitter's batter's box. That's what he ended up hitting Motais with. And that is more a mechanical thing than a concentration thing, and just letting the arm pull the baseball a little bit too much. We'll see what he comes up with here on 3-2.
Sort of a breaking ball, and it was in there. So I think Mike Steele kind of thinking along with you that, all right, if you're going to jerk a fastball, which we're dying for you to throw for a strike and can't, well, let's try something else. And he tried to ease a slider in there. And McVeigh was on it, but a little bit ahead. And he got him. So far, so good for Preston Snavely, and it's just going to be a touch-and-go kind of thing for him until he settles in here, but 1 up and 1 down here in the fourth.
Talk about saving his best for last.
Sure. That's a good pitch.
This is dotted. Fastball down and away. That's the spot I think Gunnar Troutman's been trying to get him to hit for a couple innings now, and instead he's yanked it into the left-hand hitter's batter's box. But on a 3-2 pitch to a really good hitter in McVeigh, he came up with a dandy.
Hit well into left center field. Jackson tracking it. Out number 2. I was going to say before that pitch to Joey Weimer, and we can do it now, but let's check out where Gunnar Troutwine is setting up, because early in games, if you got a guy that's throwing the ball where he wants it, you're obviously setting up in, out. You're getting right underneath the guy's hands. You're setting up way out in the left-hand batter's box. After that third inning, I would be willing to bet that Troutwine is just kind of setting up down the middle and maybe leaning one place or another. Let's check him out on this plate appearance to Eric Santiago, who's flied out to left his first time up there. With all the trouble that Snavely had in the third, is Troutwine really setting up location, or is he just trying to get his guy to throw a strike? That looks down the middle to me, doesn't it?
He looks like he does set up a little bit to the outer third on fastballs. That was a slider. And that may be an interesting distinction to make, where it's anything other than a fastball. It's just throw it somewhere over the plate and we'll deal with it. But your point is well made. And it also kind of ties back into what we were saying about Snavely's natural movement on his pitches. You just tell him, throw it down the middle and let it do something.
Yeah, if you've got a good two-seamer and you aim down the middle and miss your spot, you're still going to have a bona fide pitch. That one was inner third, but Santiago has been hot in this series, was ready for it. And there's just the third extra base hit of the series for the Bearcats. A 2-out double. That'll bring up Dondre Bremner. Flied to center his first time up there.
How about the series from Santiago? That's now 6 hits for him in 10 trips. And finally getting into a hitter's count, came back to bite Snavely's. That fastball ran back into the barrel. Santiago pulled the hands in and shot it down the left field line, but Snavely can again throw up a 0 if he can get through Bremner.
And I think that fastball was meant to be outside and leaked back over the inner third. So, runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Bremner 1 for 8 in the series. One strike and nothing. So a little more like the first 2 innings than he was last inning. Snavely trying to make just a couple of more quality pitches here to get his guys back in the dugout. Again, even though Cam Aldred is behind, he's been really good. Snavely's trying to match him here. In the shocker fourth, Bohm will lead it off. He homered on the only pitch that he saw off of Cam Aldred with 2 outs in the first. Oh, 0-2. He's got Bremner by the neck now. Bremner is 13 of 67 with 28 strikeouts. See how close Preston Snavely gets to the strike zone here with the next couple of pitches and what pitches he goes with. Not a bad pitch.
Like that. Yep.
Bremner didn't bite.
It's a really good spot. Back foot slider. And that is something Todd Butler has worked with his pitchers on in the past couple of seasons, where to bounce a baseball. It's kind of one of those minutia things where it doesn't seem like it's a big deal whether you bounce it 6 inches in front or 2 inches in front. But obviously the longer it looks like a strike, the better the chances that you're going to induce a chase and a swing.
Not a bad pitch there either. A little bit better than the one before. Neither one of them strikes, and Bremner ignored both. So now it's 2-2. I'm not sure who this count favors right about now. Snavely, who struggled with his command last half inning, or Bremner, who's struggled at the plate all year. Just a part-time player until this weekend. Bremner thrust into the starting role at shortstop, place he hadn't played yet this year before this weekend. 3-2. Preston Snavely has put up 4 scoreless frames here in the rubber match of this series.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Been an interesting Sunday morning here in Wichita. Shockers leading the Bearcats 1-0. One swing of the bat has been the difference, and it came off of the bat of Alec Boehm, who's going to lead off here in the fourth. Cam Aldred has struck out 6 in 3 innings. But on the first pitch to Alec Boehm with 2 outs in the first, Alec took Aldred out to the opposite field for his 10th home run, and that's been the difference in the game. Boehm, Troutwine, and Geneste here in the fourth. The deciding game of a 3-game series. Big wins by each team.
I was not surprised by that first pitch breaking ball to Alec Boehm, by the way. Anytime a guy hits a ball out on a first pitch fastball, he's typically not going to see it again his next at bat. Late on that swing, fouls it away.
It's pretty much been this way all year, but American pitchers have got to be confounded of how to pitch to Alec Boehm, who is a .338 hitter inside the conference, but only 7 strikeouts and 65 at bats. We know about his power. He's got 8 extra base hits of his 23 hits in the league, 5 home runs, but he walks more than he strikes out. And in essence, you just got to hope that he hits it at somebody. Boehm lucky to still be up there, 2-2. And all weekend long, their outfield, when Boehm's up there, has really a pronounced shift over toward the opposite way. There's a lot of room to left field and over toward the line. And it's just hard to get a ball past Alec Boehm. Soft, hard, in, out. His really only hole, I guess if you want to call it that, is right underneath his hands. Not often this year has he swung at a pitch on the inner black. Anywhere else, he's been able to get to it and strike it with authority. Guess everybody's got a hole somewhere, but his just didn't very big.
And it's one of the hardest pitches to execute. Fastball in to a right-hand power hitter. This is the swing on the pitch before. Loses his balance just a little bit. He's gone down to one knee on swings plenty of times this year, but he does a good job of staying controlled.
So no surprise that the only 3-ball count we've seen Aldred go to is to Boehm after Boehm took him deep.
Not sure he wants to throw Boehm a 3-2 fastball here.
Not sure he will. Bremner looks like he's been playing shortstop, maybe not his whole life, but at least on a part-time basis. Not a difficult play, but a hard-hit ball that took him up the middle, and then he spun and got Boehm.
Caught a bit of a break in that ball definitely hit the mound, and that took a lot of the heat out of it. But still, as a shortstop, that's not an easy play because you're pretty much throwing blind. You don't have a whole lot of time to set your feet, gather your sight line. And he did skip the throw over there, but Santiago did the hard part with a nice scoop.
Bremner making a case for, well, as long as a guy's a good athlete, then he can probably play shortstop. Bremner's got good action.
He looks smooth out there. Yeah, I agree. You wonder what he looks like over at first base, which is where he's played most of the time defensively prior to this series.
Bremner kind of a long, rangy guy, 6'2", 172. He's also just a freshman, we should point out.
Might be his shortstop job next season.
Maybe. 2-0, fastball needles the inside corner to Gunnar Troutwine, who got overmatched, and it was only up there for 3 pitches and a strikeout to end the first. That would have been almost too much.
Still got to it.
He gets to his knees and throws out Troutwine, and he just totally tip your cap. Infield hit for Gunnar Troutwine.
Yeah, once this ball gets that deep in the 6 hole, whether or not it's gloved is pretty much irrelevant. Going to be almost an impossible play, even with Troutwine running, as Gunnar continues to have himself a very productive series. It's now 5 base hits for him over these 3 games.
Aldred also made pretty quick work of Grayson Genesta his first time up there. Troutwine might want to get back a little quicker than that next time. Troutwine missed on what we thought was a hit and run yesterday, and that was probably bad enough. But if he gets picked off as a non-base stealer with Grayson Genesta up there, then normally a guy that you defer to, you'd have to scratch your head a little bit. Kind of nonchalanted back to first base.
Got picked off standing up would be the third strike.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if that move caught him by surprise because he is a non-base stealer. He's not used to having guys pay attention to him over at first base. Doesn't have a huge lead. Made that play a little closer than it probably should have been.
Grayson is now 2 for 6 in the series. He is a .254 hitter in league play and has no home runs in 64 American at-bats. And off the end of the bat, Ramey started back, now comes in, and 2 outs.
Aldred's had Genesta casting out just a little bit, trying to reach for breaking balls out away from him. There you see, out on his front foot, just a touch. And skies that one off the end of the bat.
And Aldred comes down kind of lower 3/4 just enough that if you're a left-hand batter, you're going to have the tendency to want to give ground a little bit anyway. But when he executes his pitch at that arm angle, kind of like Cody Tyler Denning, because he sets up on the first base side of the rubber too, so the angle's a little tougher. Dugas goes after the first pitch and fouls it over the screen. Dayton, 5 doubles, a triple, and 5 home runs. He's got one of the 3 shocker hits today. Friday night, it was 8-2 Cincinnati, and it felt even worse than that. It was 8-0 into the 8th. Cincinnati got 14 hits. Game yesterday started as a tight one. It was 1-1 going to the bottom of the 4th. Then the Shockers scored the game's final 8 runs and pounded out 15 hits themselves. Kind of an uncommon start to the Sunday game inside of a conference. 1-0 into the middle innings.
And uncommon for this series that the only separation is an extra base hit.
Yeah. Lots and lots of singles Friday and Saturday. One and 2 to Dugas. Aldred doesn't have what you would consider quote-unquote swing and miss stuff, but his command has been plus today. And that's the reason why he's got a bushel full of strikeouts. 2 in each inning up until this one.
He's been sitting 88 with the fastball, which you can definitely get away with as a lefty.
Dugas took a shot at right field. Still 2-2.
And there's a little funk, like you said, drops down just a touch and throws the ball to both sides of the plate. Has flashed a very nice changeup. But it starts and ends with fastball command.
And like Bohm, they shade Dugas over to right center in the outfield, especially Weimer in left.
That take tells me a lot about Dayton Dugas. That is a pitch that he would swing at in his first couple seasons here at Wichita State. Sliders down and in. When he was looking for something, fastball typically out away from him to get the arms extended. That's a pitch he would chase a lot. This time, barely even flinched.
Payoff instead over to first. Yeah, Dugas obviously very comfortable this year with pitches coming into him as opposed to down and away. That has everything to do with the hand that the pitcher throws with that he's facing. That's why he's over 400 this year against lefties. Good pitch by Aldred, and that is strikeout number 7 for him, and the duel continues into the 5th.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
On to the 5th we go. Remains 1-0. We've been that way since the first. Alec Boehm, solo home run with 2 outs in the very first inning. Each team has, well, let's be honest, Cincinnati's the only team that's had its chances in this one besides the solo home run from Alec Boehm. Each of the last 2 innings, the Bearcats have had somebody in scoring position but been turned away both times. And Snavely, even though he's thrown 4 scoreless, has wobbled just a little bit in the last couple. So the Shocker bullpen is up and going just in case. It'll be the lower third of the order here in the 5th. Habercorn, Baker, and Ramey. They're the ones that made the noise in the 3rd. But Snavely, after really struggling to throw strikes consistently, finally and ultimately got out of it unscathed.
This will be the telling hitter for me. Habercorn, a guy who gets on base a lot. .410, the on-base percentage, gets hit a ton, decent walk rate, and of course a decent batting average around .280. Acts kind of as the second leadoff hitter down towards the bottom part of this order. After that, it falls off pretty quick. And so a very important hitter for Snavely to get.
On-base percentage is .700 in the series. 10 plate appearances, been on there 7 times. 1-2. Pitcher you saw a moment ago in the Shocker pen is Adam Keller. He has yet to pitch in the series. Coming into this game, the Shockers had who you would think would be really rested and ready to go. A loaded bullpen, Keller, Kilgore, Sandburn, Siegel, McGinnis, all those guys either hadn't pitched or not very much at all. And on the other side, Cam Aldred has rendered their perceived thin bullpen a moot point, the way he's gone. He's been really good through 4 innings. Of course, still a lot of baseball to be played, but their closer hadn't pitched. Clayton Colvin figures to be okay today. 3-2 to Habercorn. And Preston Snavely puts on yet another hitter. That is now 11 hit batters this year for Snavely. And he just can't settle in.
Habercorn's been hit 4 times in this series. And Snavely had him in a decent count. Just missed badly with his last several offerings. Now you're down towards the bottom part of the order, but Habercorn, of course, presents plenty of problems with his speed on at first base, and it's just made it a lot more of a grind. It hasn't been able to be free and easy for Snavely. He's had to work with runners on a lot. Slowed down the pace of this game quite a bit.
Well, this is what killed Cody Hoyer Friday. Free passes. Baker takes a strike. Baker now 1 for 18 with 10 strikeouts on the year. He appeared late yesterday, grounded out on the only pitch that he saw. He ended the game. So just as we talked about in the third, after Snavely walked Habercorn, Baker and Ramey, among them, have 3 hits all year. Boy, and Habercorn started then stopped. His leads over there at first, of course, at second when he eventually got picked off, he kind of hamstrings himself by guessing with the pitcher. He'll dance over there and start, and then if the pitcher doesn't go to the plate, he's forced to stop because he doesn't want to get picked off. Not conventional. 1-2.
Well, Baker's not bunting, which it looks like he isn't. You would think then Habercorn will be off at some point in these next 2 hitters.
But he just doesn't take a conventional lead. You know, he's dancing over there and hopping off the bag instead of getting a big lead, staying set, and then going with Snavely. Strike 3 called. I think Doyle Suter forgot what count it was. And Snavely, in playing a little game with Habercorn, held it just long enough. He didn't go, and Snavely got the pitch.
Bit of an awkward called third strike here on a slider that just kind of spun up there, working to the inner part of the plate. Pretty sure Doyle Suter had the 2 fingers up there, but we'll forgive him. It happens to the best of us.
Now Ramey, he had the most interesting plate appearance so far today. He was up there with Habercorn at second, and then Habercorn kept dancing off of second base during the plate appearance. Eventually, Habercorn took off for third. Snavely stepped off and calmly threw him out at third. But 2 pitches later, Ramey walked, then stole a base and made his way all the way around to third. And you know Snavely knows that Ramey has a minuscule batting average, and sometimes that's the toughest guy to throw strikes to when you know either A, he's not going to swing, or B, he's not a very good hitter, so all I have to do is throw him a strike.
Or C, he's trying to bunt.
So let him bunt.
Yeah.
You know, lay it in there.
He is squared around in almost every plate appearance this series.
And you've just got to find a way to throw this guy a strike, and that's what Gunnar Troutwine is so confounded about. And now you would figure, Denning, that these bluffs to bunt are just straight takes. He's got no intention whatsoever anymore of bunting. He's taken until Preston Snavely throws him a strike. Habercorn runs, thank you, but the throwdown is late. Treg Habercorn is just bound and determined to take off on Troutwine. You know a fastball is coming there. Was that called a strike? All right, 2-1. But either way, boy, you would have figured Habercorn had been anchored to the bag at first until Snavely threw him a strike. You know, Ramey's taken there.
Yeah, that's the element that really makes it interesting. You're basically giving the catcher a free shot at it.
Strike 2 called.
So we're back to 2-2 on Ramey, which is where we were in the third when Snavely just let a couple get away from him. And
now if only Habercorn get picked off trying to go to third again.
If this is the last stretch for Snavely with Keller, looks like he's ready down the bullpen. See if Preston can make it a good one.
I'm a little surprised because, number one, Keelan Kilgore was up earlier with Motice looming in the on-deck circle. Why Kilgore's not getting ready just for him, but we'll see what happens. So Snavely has hit 2, walked 2, and allowed 1 hit the first 2 times through the Bearcat order. There's Keller. So up to now, Snavely's been effectively wild. And for the second straight time, Snavely has gone full, messing around with Jordan Ramey.
What a weird game.
It has been.
The guy with the 1 hitter arguably has less sharp stuff than the guy trailing 1-0.
There's no arguing about it. I understand you trying to be kind here, but Cam Aldred has been razor sharp, but he's behind. Credit Snavely, he hasn't let Habercorn fluster him out there. He's been a rock as far as coming set and not flinching. Nowhere close. He's walked Ramey twice.
Little surprise. Snavely, Troutwine, Mike Steele, whoever responsible for the pitch calls there, elected to go with 3 straight sliders at the end to Ramey. And it may just be a case that they feel that's what Snavely can throw for a strike. We know the fastball command's been kind of spotty over these last couple innings. But if you're at a point where you feel like the only thing you can throw over the plate is a slider, that's not a good position to be in as a pitcher.
Well, Snavely has gone 4 1/3 here on this rubber match Sunday. For the second time in the series, Todd Butler has removed his starting pitcher without having given up a run. Keller is going to get Motice when we come back.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Adam Keller comes in for Wichita State here with 1 out in the 5th. He inherits a 2-on, 1-out situation. And the big number here, to me, Denning, is the walks for Adam Keller. He's only put 1 guy on while striking out 17. So maybe he is just what the doctor ordered to change the tenor of this one, even though Wichita State's still up 1-0.
He's been really good. No two ways about it. 1.42 the ERA and somewhat limited innings, but big-time strikeout stuff. His curveball is outstanding. uses it against both righties and lefties. The fastball can get up into the low 90s at times as well. And will probably be asked to give Wichita State some length here in the middle innings. Snavely, after that very efficient start, just 24 pitches through the first 2 innings, unable to get through 5.
Yeah, Snavely looked great through 2 and then really struggled through the last 2+, including walking that man, Jordan Ramey, twice. He'll go back to first, Habercorn to second. They both reached on free passes. There have been 5 of those, only 1 hit so far for Cincinnati, but now Motice, their best hitter, with 2 on and 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Adam Keller pitched twice last weekend, covering 2 2/3 against UCF. Adam Keller, 6'2", native of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, well-traveled. He's been to West Virginia, he's been to Seward County, and now wrapping up his collegiate career here at Wichita State. Appeared 22 times, 20 in relief a year ago for the Shockers. Little high. Motice popped out and was hit. At the moment, he is 4 for 10 in the series. Good speed on the bases for the Bearcats. They've threatened for 3 innings in a row now. Snavely so far, or at least to this point, 4 1/3, 1 hit, 3 walks, 2 hit batters, 4 strikeouts. Finishes with 82 pitches, 43 of them for strikes. But so far hasn't given up any runs. That's trouble, right center. And Dugas runs it down. What a play. Tagging at second and going to third is Habercorn. 2 down. What a play, Dayton Dugas.
Best play I've ever seen Dayton Dugas make, and by a pretty wide margin. This is sensational. A long way to go, and the only way he makes this play is if he reads it right off the bat. That is a flash of the kind of speed that he has, able to track that ball down and basically outran the baseball into deepest right center.
Catcher Joey Thomas.
So now here's Joey Thomas. He twice grounded out against Preston Snavely. Habercorn stayed around second base, to his credit. He was able to tag and go to third. Ramey was all the way to second. He was convinced that was going to the gap. Ramey dancing around at first, starts, then stops. Upstairs, 1-0.
Thomas is going to see a steady diet of that Adam Keller curveball. Right on right situation. Keller has really handcuffed right-handed hitters this season. There's a look at how far Ramey was off the first base bag when Dugas made the catch. Had to hustle back.
Third to first, got him picked. And a home plate umpire called the balk. And I think, we'll have to see the replay. I think that was probably the right call. Keller really didn't gain any ground toward third base. It didn't appear. So after all that, Cincinnati scores on a balk. Who knows what would have happened during the ensuing rundown, whether they would have ended up stealing the run from third.
Is there a limit as to how far you have to go towards third base?
Well, technically, it's supposed to be a 45-degree angle like it is when a lefty picks to first. So, and I'm sure Todd Butler is questioning how the home plate umpire can tell that. Here, we'll take a better look at it. And Boy, he didn't gain much ground to third, but it was probably within the 45-degree angle.
Yeah, that's my question. The angle looked fine to me, but it almost looked like his foot went straight up and straight down. Maybe just a couple inches towards third base.
So Habercorn scores on a balk. Ramey down to second. After all we've seen over the last 3 innings, that's how Cincinnati scores. And a fast guy in scoring position now. Well, we are halfway done, and nothing's been determined here in the rubber match of this series.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
There's a couple of things in play on that balk in the last half inning by Adam Keller. It was a third to first move that he was nailed by home plate umpire Dale Suter, talking about Keller. It's a fake to third, and of course, to make it look successful, you have to make the runner at first look like it's a fake to home. But if you step home, obviously it's a balk. Keller's step was really close. I mean, he picked his foot up. Here, we'll take a look. Does he gain any ground toward third? If so, how much? He kind of did. Here's the other thing, though.
Barely.
The home plate umpire is the one that called it, Doyle Suter. The third base umpire, Mark Huseman, is in the middle of the diamond. So whether he has a better view of it, that's anybody's guess. But I suppose Doyle Suter, you'd think he's got a fair amount of courage to make that call, pretty much looking straight on at Adam Keller.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a balk called on a play like that, because typically a balk on an attempted first and third move is going to be when the pitcher just looks like he's going towards home and doesn't, like you said, breaks that angle, the 45 degrees.
And those are the best ones.
In this case, Keller looked like he almost lifted the foot up straight and then put it right back down, just maybe a couple inches towards third base. Is that enough, though?
Well,
by the letter of the law.
If that's what he was perceived to do by Doyle Suter, he made the right call. Because if he just picked it up and set it right back down, then that's a balk. So, in some ways, the Shockers, as to borrow a term from earlier in the series, they reap what they sow. Just one free pass after another, and finally one came around to score. It was strange. And meanwhile, to me, this is the big story, is Cam Aldred and what he's doing to Wichita State's offense. Yeah, it would have been nice if you're a Shocker fan if Keller gets out of that inning, but it's still only 1-0, and still Wichita State has done very little against the number 3 starter for the Bearcats.
Made it look clinical against left-handed hitters, that's for sure. Jackson and Genesta have had a tough time dealing with Aldred's off-speed stuff, moving away from him, and he's had very good fastball command as well.
Vickers tried to shoot one through the middle and was robbed by the second baseman, Motice. This one is run down by Ramey in foul ground. So this is couldn't be more up in the air final game of the series with the way things are going for Wichita State. All the base runners have belonged to Cincinnati. And
with one hit.
With one hit. That's right.
It's going to be a battle of the bullpens, ultimately. And these last 4 innings are going to tell which team has a lot more faith in their back end. Like you said, we haven't seen either closer in this series. Of course, Chandler Sanborn for Wichita State or for Cincinnati.
Cam Aldred is making it look easy here on a Sunday.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
So Adam Keller will try to make Cincinnati earn their way here as we play in the top of the 6th inning. It's 1-1. There have been 1 base hit for Cincinnati. It was, as it turned out, a harmless 2-out double by Eric Santiago. But 2 walks and a hit batter in the 3rd. Santiago's double in the 4th. And then a hit batter, a walk, a stolen base, and a balk has given Cincinnati the run, and I think the key word there, Denning, is given.
Plenty of runners, but ultimately it was a Wichita State mistake that allowed Cincinnati to get on the board, and now it's up to Adam Keller to hold the fort right here. Just the 1 hit for Cincinnati, and he will have to keep this one right where it is, at least through the 6th inning, if not even a little further.
Third baseman Connor McVeigh.
Heart of the order for the Bearcats, Connor McVeigh, 0 for 2 in his plate appearances against Preston Snavely. Keller gets the final 2 outs of the 5th. The run charged to Snavely. So we're all even at 1 apiece. Shockers with 3 hits. Cincinnati with 1. Denning nailed it. It's been a strange game. McVeigh has a leadoff single. Holds on after a wide turn. So the leadoff man's been on there now 3 out of 6 times.
For a game that's had 5 total hits, it hasn't had a whole lot of flow to it just because of all the runners and stop and start action off the end of the bat here from McVeigh, but a good hitter who, even when he's fooled, is able to keep the hands back just enough and loops it into shallow left.
And McVeigh is their team's leading base stealer, 13 for 18. Stolen 1 in the series this weekend. Weimer has not laid down a successful sacrifice yet this year. Tried to do so there, bunted through one. Habercorn and Santiago are their best bunters. They've stolen 3 bases here today. Keller doesn't have much of a leg kick, so trying to steal on him will be, you would think, fairly tough. Habercorn has 2 steals, Ramey with 1. They have 8 steals in the series, so they've been running wild. Our next game on WSU TV will come Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Homestand continues. It'll be Wichita State and Oral Roberts. Haven't seen the Golden Eagles since way back on March 7th down in Tulsa. And then, as you see there, South Dakota State comes to town the next night. Have that one for you as well here on WSU TV. Good pitch, straightened him up. It's 1-2.
Really good pitch, and pretty much right where Adam Keller was trying to put it. A lot of times you'll get rewarded by a home plate umpire just for hitting spots, and Troutwine tried to stick it right there for Doyle Suter, didn't get the call.
And now Cincinnati's got something going. Weimer rattles one down into the corner. And they're going to try to score the runner all the way from first. And a high throw, and he'll make it. And over to third is Weimer. They call him out at home. How about that? Well, I jumped the gun, and Wichita State.
They ruled that he missed home plate with his slide, and that Troutwine got him on the foot.
Well, the throw was high, and McVeigh beat the throw, but didn't touch the plate. And I think that is the right call. How about that? Sliding around Troutwine's foot didn't do the trick. So Weimer will be credited with a double, or Weimer will be credited with a double, went to third on the throw, and for now we're still tied.
Doesn't look like he gets the hand on the plate. Does Troutwine even tag him, though?
I think he gets him on the calf, if we can keep that going. Scott Googans has not been pleased all weekend long. It's pretty clear he didn't touch the plate, but when does and if does Troutwine tag him? Nobody on the plate there, and keep it going.
If he got him, he got his just barely on the pant leg, maybe?
Pant leg, yeah. Well, out at home, over to third, Weimer. Infield in for Santiago. Well, if Keller gets out of this, this will be something. And that hit the umpire, and that's going to be a wild pitch. How about that? The strangeness continues. The run-in scores anyway as Troutwine whiffed.
I think just a fastball in. Tipped off the glove of Troutwine, like you said.
Did he get the glove on it?
Padding. I thought I heard a click before it hit the padding of the umpire and then kicked away.
Well, it's 2-1 Cincinnati.
Yeah, just a fastball inside, and then Troutwine, of course, loses track of it as it bounces into no man's land. But this game has officially had everything.
Except for good baseball.
Surprisingly absent.
So the base is empty, one in. One out in the inning. So I guess we'll never know if the infield coming in would have choked off that run at the plate after. I don't know if Troutwine was crossed up. I think it's still up for some debate whether he got some leather on it. But it was air-mailed and ended up, as Denning said, in no man's land up along first. Cincinnati ends up getting their one run. That one's jerked foul, and it's 1-2. Well, one thing remains here for Wichita State, Denning, is their offense needs to get something going. And in the meantime, stay close. Now that they've given up the lead, stay close enough to where one swing can maybe get them back in it. because that's all they've had so far today, one swing. So it's been ruled a pass ball. McVeigh singled. Weimer doubled down the line. McVeigh was ruled out at the plate, said he never touched the plate. Doyle Suter punched him out, and then one pitch later with the infield in, a run scored anyway. Hit well into left. Jackson tracking it. 2 down. In the Shocker 6, they'll have the top of the order. Cam Aldred hasn't had to face more than 4 batters in any inning.
And it looks like that's going to be all for Adam Keller as Todd Butler will bring on the lefty with a couple of southpaws coming up.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Adam Keller's day is done after 1 1/3. 2 hits and an unearned run. Now Keelan Kilgore will try to get the final out of the 6th. Kilgore was up loosening earlier. A pair of left-hand batters await him. Keelan's been good this season, especially out of the pen. He's made 1 spot start early, but over the last 3 weeks or so, Kilgore's really been a go-to guy out of the pen.
Got knocked around a little bit earlier in the series. That was back on Friday, and he was involved in the weird sacrifice fly E8 on the Travis Young transfer out in center field. So did allow 2 runs. They were both unearned. The ERA stands at 2.63, and here inherits a pretty clean slate. 2 outs, nobody aboard, and 2 lefties due up.
And with kind of a thin bench for Scott Guggens, not much he can do as far as matching up against Kilgore. We're only in the 6th, and Bremner's in there due to an injury to start with, so he's going to have to deal with Keelan Kilgore, whether he likes it or not. Bases empty, 2 outs, 1 in. Cincinnati's taken the lead. They've gotten a run on a balk and a passed ball. Bremner 0 for 2. Fly to center and a strikeout. Made the last out in the 2nd and the 4th. And Kilgore's hoping he'll oblige here in the 6th. Again, for Wichita State in the 6th, they'll have the top of the order facing Cam Aldred for the 3rd time. Kilgore had kind of a rough go of it against Central Florida. 2 outings, gave up 4 runs. But he had a string of outings from March 13th to April 18th that he only gave up 1 run in all those outings. Looking for a bounce back and trying to keep the Shockers close. So Wichita State after this, we told you on WSUTV this week, we'll have a game Tuesday against Oral Roberts, Wednesday against South Dakota State. Then South Florida comes to town, and the Shockers end up their American schedule at Memphis in mid-May. Over but low, 3-2.
For a pitching staff that all season long has racked up the strikeouts at a pretty prodigious rate, well over 1 per inning, had a tough time putting guys away with 2 strikes today.
Kilgore walks Bremner after he had him down in the count. So now Habercorn, who's walked and been hit. That's really killed Wichita State in this series, period. Not being able to throw strikes.
They done the hard part. They got ahead. But if you're ahead of a same-side hitter 1-2, a guy who's hitting sub-200 with 2 outs and nobody on, a walk can't happen, basically. You got to let him hit the baseball. Because now you got to deal with Habercorn, who's just been a thorn in the side all series long.
Well, they had 6 walks, and Habercorn was hit twice Friday. And you've had Snavely walk 3, hit 2. And that's been the story today and Friday. In the games, the Shockers have either lost or fallen behind. They haven't made Cincinnati earn it, really.
Cincinnati is winning this game right now without an RBI. That, to your point, basically.
Tells you what you need to know. Habercorn has 2 stolen bases. He's also been picked off, trying to sneak over to third, back in the third. Well, in a game that, as Denning mentioned, just kind of gone in fits and starts, Wichita State needs a jolt. Haven't done much offensively, and they've stood out there defensively for a fair amount of the time. And we've talked about this before too, Denning. In the American, you've got to play a pretty clean game. If not all 3 phases of the game, either B+ or higher, you better be close to it, or you're not going to win games in this league. And the Shockers just been sluggish here in this one. This will be a long run for both outfielders, and Young runs it down. But Cincinnati takes the lead on a passed ball.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Wichita State has not been able to manufacture much at all today. Got a 2-out home run in the first, but no more than 1 base runner in any inning. Dugas single in the second, Troutwine single in the fourth. So they'll try their 3rd time through the order, their 3rd look at Cam Aldred. who's only had to throw 64 pitches. And the drama of Luke Ritter's hitting streak is taking a back seat a bit to Wichita State trying to get this tied, although they could do both here in the inning. Ritter has flied to center and struck out, and Cam Aldred, sound like a broken record, Denning, but he's just been a strike-throwing machine out there. He's kind of been the antithesis of Wichita State's pitching today.
He's had a good rhythm to the way that he works out there. Seems like he is poised and just kind of in command of the ball game.
This is 2 starts removed from 5 walks and 6 hits allowed against UConn in Cincinnati. His last 2 American outings haven't been good at all, but he has flushed those. And Ritter hits a lazy fly ball to center. And now Travis Young, who has struck out twice.
Well, since it doesn't look like Aldred's going to give up 3 or 4 straight hits, Wichita State is left with one of a couple different options. One is just put one more good swing on it, the way that Alec Boehm did. Another is to manufacture something. This is a good guy to have up there to start that. Travis can get aboard with his speed. He can create a run almost all by himself, but getting on base has been the problem today.
I was just getting ready to say a bloop and a blast might be the way that you take the lead from Cam Aldred, the way he's going.
Baseball is a funny game. 15 hits yesterday, 3 hits today. Momentum is as good as the next day's starting pitcher.
Well, Cincinnati Friday had 14 hits, pretty much had their way with Wichita State, although Shockers helped them out quite a bit. Teams have combined for 6 hits. And Sammy Esposito went the wrong way to try to avoid that one. Shocker third base coach just got pelted by Travis Young. Well, the best thing about this game, Denning, I think, is that Wichita State will bat last. It may come down to that.
Looks like Sammy's fine over at third base, by the way. Was gesturing that it got him on the thigh.
Aldred, 5 1/3. There's Sammy trying to shake it off. 3 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts, 1 off of his season high. Struck out 9 Green Wave batters in New Orleans in 7 scoreless innings.
Took the padding right off the chest protector of Thomas. Rolled almost all the way back to the screen, just ripped it right off the shoulder. Hope they have a spare one of those laying around, or he's just going to wear it.
Young doesn't do it again.
I thought for a second he was going to just stay in the game with the one that he's wearing. Look at that. Look at it flying right behind home plate. Lands just in front of the backstop.
And they're going to see if he's got a spare chest protector with that little flap over the shoulder. Or do a little housekeeping. Any baling wire, any duct tape over there? What? Oh, it's snapped in there. Good.
Oh, it's detachable. Okay. Just in case you have a left-handed catcher. Flip that thing around. That's about all that today is missing.
Yeah. Base is empty, 1 out, and the Shocker 6th. Young trying to avoid the hat trick. He was a strikeout victim in the first and in the third. Nine strikeouts for Aldred. And part of the reason why Wichita State has kind of scuffled to a 6-11 record inside the conference, we discussed this a little bit. You got to put all 3 phases together. it seems like at least one phase in all the 11 losses have completely gone away, completely betrayed Wichita State, be it offense, pitching, or the defense melting down.
2 runs allowed through 6 innings on a Sunday is typically good enough.
Ought to be good enough. Now, and the game, again, we're not done yet. Still plenty left to be played, but the way things are going from Aldred, it's just looking more and more like it's going to come down to a mistake that he makes, if he makes one. He has been absolutely on cruise control. Bohm's home run really wouldn't even be what you would consider a mistake.
No.
Aldred just was trying to throw a strike. It was 0-0, and
Fastball
Bohm got
away.
the better of him.
Wasn't a bad pitch at all.
No.
Just the one infield single for Troutwine back in the 4th. Since the 2nd inning, that's all that Wichita State has mustered.
And no walks, as we pointed out. It's been about as easy as could be. 74 pitches, now 76, to get 2 outs in the 6th. Bohm had a 2-home-run game earlier this year against ECU, and he's trying to do it again. In the right center, and Ramey runs it down. Shockers go in order for the 3rd time today.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
2-1 through 6, Cincinnati and Wichita State, 1 game apiece in this series. Likewise down in Tampa, Shocker softball team, 1 game apiece with South Florida. This one just underway. The winner of this game will win the conference. If the Shockers get the victory, they'll be tied with USF, but obviously getting the tiebreaker. Quite a first season for the softball program in the American. They won the opener, then the Bulls won yesterday. And Wichita State trying to wrap up that 1 seed in the conference tournament coming up at the end of the regular season. 8-9-1 in the order here for Cincinnati in the 7th against Keelan-Kilgore. Cale Baker to lead it off. He struck out twice. Then Ramey, then back to the top of the order.
2 guys down here at the bottom that Kilgore needs to get. Baker's had a rough go of it so far today with a couple strikeouts, and Keelan needs to get after him early in the count.
Sounds familiar. Lower third of the orders created some havoc in this game. In case you missed it, the first run for Cincinnati scored on a hit batter, a stolen base, and a balk. And the go-ahead run, last half inning, scored on a passed ball. And as Denning mentioned, there have been 2 Cincinnati runs, no RBI. Shockers have also cut down one other runner at the plate. But not much going on in the Shocker offense through the first 6 innings. They're down to their last 9 outs, but still trailing just by 1.
No activity behind Kilgore right now, so it is his 7th inning. These 2 righties and then Motice at the top, a lefty. Chandler Sanborn has not thrown in either of the first 2 games of this series, and so you would think he is rested and ready, if need be, for the 8th or the 9th. There's that stretch of 4 right-handed hitters, 2 through 5 in the order for Cincinnati, who've done some damage. But a bridge that Shockers have not yet arrived at.
That's stroke to left. Jackson with just enough room. 1 out. Cale Baker, who has 1 hit this year. It was a triple, by the way. Just had a little bit too much topspin on this one, or it could have been 3-1.
Ball doesn't seem like it's carried very much to left field today. And I know there's not much of a breeze. What breeze there is kind of listing out towards right field, but anything in the air to left hasn't gotten much help, and any kind of a breeze right there may have pushed Cale Baker to a solo homer.
Here's Ramey, who's walked twice. And he starches one to left. Jackson over, and he runs it down. It's about as hard as and as far as a Jordan Ramey can hit a ball, I think. He gives it a ride, but he's out number 2. So 2 up and 2 down for Motice. Be up there from the left side.
Kilgore did the job. Got the 8 and the 9 hitters. Both struck the ball well, but you got defenders out there for a reason as Jackson ranged back to glove this one. Guy saw plenty of time in center field last year, so more than capable of going and getting it in either corner spot.
This is a vital 3-game series for Wichita State, not only when it comes to the conference standings, but the RPI as well. Wichita State's RPI is still in good shape, but I think we both agree, and everybody in the Shocker dugout agreed, that Shockers want to make some noise and challenge for the postseason. It's now or never this weekend. Got to win this series. That was before this weekend. Wichita State, after going 1-1 against Cincinnati, it's now at 22. So still decent in the RPI, but you keep losing, it won't stay that way.
Yep, and winning games, the best way to keep that RPI elevated. Seems simple, but ouch. That may have drilled Doyle Suter.
Kilgore wanted to throw that away from Motice, and it was up and in, and Troutwine, whether he got some leather on it, it wasn't very much. Suter got nailed. Right off the top of the shoulder. Those guys behind the plate have a lot of armor, but it can't cover up everything.
Hopefully
and even
just a glancing blow.
And even if it does hit that little shoulder pad that he's got on, it can't feel good.
Not entirely Gunner's fault by any means with him setting up away and that fastball missing up and in. As a catcher, you do everything you can to keep the ball off the umpire. You want to make friends back there.
Yeah, just for that reason right there. You save the umpire some hits. He'll appreciate it. Keelan Kilgore turns in a 1-2-3 7th inning for Wichita State.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Twice this season, Cam Aldred has completed 7 innings of work on the mound for Cincinnati. He's turned in 6 sparkling innings here this morning and now into the early afternoon in Wichita. 7 against Tulane, 7 last weekend against the Kansas Jayhawks. And he is, Denning, working on 13 consecutive innings where he hasn't allowed a walk, and he struck out 16, so he's feeling it in the last 2 weekends.
Guy who clearly has settled in as this season has gone along, settled in as this ball game has gone along, and the numbers that jumps out to me at least is limiting the free passes. It speaks to the fact that Wichita State's going to have to earn it over these last 3 innings and try and put something together to support a pitching effort that has been erratic but has done the job.
Aldred and JT Perez, 2 really tough lefties. Perez was the winner in 7+ innings Friday night. Aldred heading that way here this afternoon. Troutwine, one of the 3 shocker hits. Hit a ground ball in the hole that Bremner, the shortstop, smothered, but couldn't throw out Troutwine, and he is ahead in the count 2-1. Troutwine 6 home runs on the year. He's driven in 38.
Aldred's doing a little bit of what we mentioned quite a bit yesterday, and that's adding and subtracting a little bit. Fastball has been anywhere from 84 to 88, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you can take a little off, add a little here and there, work it in and out, you're going to have plenty of success.
The last home run that Troutwine hit this season was in that memorable game April 10th at Oklahoma State where the Shockers came roaring back and scored 5 in the 9th. He had a 3-run home run in that 9th inning. Shockers won that game 10-7. And there's the first walk issued by Cam Aldred. A leadoff walk in the bottom of the 7th.
Shane, that's a great job by you mentioning the long string without having issued a walk. Well done. That's a clutch performance. And a good job by Gunnar Troutwine to earn his way back. The 2-2 pitch was the difference maker. A breaking ball that never quite came back to the outside part of the plate. And then that fastball nowhere close.
So, tying run at first. Genesta has struck out and flied to right. Genesta tried to take it with him and pulled it foul. Not a bad idea. Not totally giving yourself up, you know.
Kind of a sack bunt.
Kind of.
If you can get your way aboard, great. But at the very least, you'd be getting Troutwine into scoring position with less than 2 outs and give Dugas a chance.
Danger here is if you try to do that again and he throws you a slider, you'll run out of bat. But Genesta does the job, 3 unassisted. Down to second goes Troutwine. Talk about a sign of respect for Cam Aldred. He had a preseason All-American bunting there.
This one looked a little more like a straight sack. Kept his feet in the box for a little longer, kept the barrel out there a little longer, and we'll see what Cincinnati does with Dugas. They got a base open with another lefty on deck, but I would imagine that could create a whole bunch of cat and mouse scenarios.
I think you just trust Aldred to be careful with Dugas here, not necessarily put him on. Because if you put him on, that's the go-ahead run late in the game. Paxton Wallace has grabbed a bat and likely will hit for Jackson one way or the other here. So the cat and mouse probably has been eliminated whether Jackson will hit or not. Over but low, 2-0.
Oh, Aldred has heeded your words of being careful to Dugas. A couple sliders to start this at bat. And very well may throw him another one here on 2-0.
Thomas, for the first time, has had to go out and counsel his left-hander. The only walk of the game for Cam Aldred has turned into the potential tying run in scoring position. Dugas hit in 2 trips today. Aldred really made a great pitch on him on 3-2 to get him looking to end the 4th. So now 2 on and 1 out for Paxton Wallace. Wallace has had his opportunities kind of dwindle. He hasn't had a plate appearance since the Houston series, so it's been a couple of weeks. Lefty getting loose in the bullpen. I think it's Jared Yoakum.
It is
their closer?
That is not. That is Garrett Shanley.
So not quite to closer territory with nobody out in the 7th, apparently.
Garrett Shanley of all of 2 innings this season. So,
yeah, I think he pitched in that KU series last weekend, which was the first time he'd pitched all year. 2 innings, 4 strikeouts.
Picked up a save in that ball game. What are your thoughts on Troutwine at second base and potentially lifting him for a pinch runner? Is it too soon for that?
It's 50-50. I don't think necessarily. And you could do it with Croft, who would obviously take over behind home plate. But if you wanted to burn a position player, you got a couple fast guys over there that you could do it with. Jake Catsby being one of them. But not yet. So here's Wallace. Wallace 0 for 1 against Houston back on April 22nd. And started to trigger and couldn't hold himself. That looked like it was ball 1. Shocker pinch hitters have really sparkled this year. They're hitting .350 as a unit. Back this way, 0-2. Coming into this weekend series, Wichita State had 21 pinch hits. Now Wallace going to have to hit on Aldred's terms here. Just trying to stay alive. Nothing in 2.
Overthrew that 89 miles an hour, which he hasn't touched much of this afternoon. Tried to really let it all go, and that, more than anything else, may signal that this is coming to the end of the line for Aldred.
Troutwine's the one and only guy that Wichita State has had in scoring position today, if you don't count Bohm circling the bases in the 1st. Wallace twice went too far on check swings. So Paxton Wallace, a freshman, a little overzealous, helped out Aldred, and that is yet another strikeout for the Cincy lefty.
And both of the pitches that he went too far on were fastballs away, probably not strikes. Just could not hold up. And a good bounce back from Aldred.
So this is a huge spot, not only for Wichita State, but Trey Vickers, a Shocker veteran shortstop, who is starving for a hit. He is 15 for his last, or excuse me, he's 10 for his last 59. Outfield straightaway and shallow. Vickers 0 for 2 today, 0 for 9 in the series. And he's also hit into a triple play. So this would be a huge spot for him.
On it, but tardy on a fastball. As they have with virtually every right-handed hitter, Cincinnati shading him towards right center field, which is a spot that Vickers likes to pick on quite a bit. If he could hook one inside the third base bag, Wichita State will have themselves the lead.
One and two.
That's another Chick-fil-A foul ball.
Tying run at second. 2 down and the Shocker seventh. A pair of walks, the first 2 by Aldred. Bremner flipped to second, and the lead stays with Cincinnati as Cam Aldred pitched around 2 walks in the Shocker seventh.
He's on the bench, Shirley Lewis.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
On to the 8th, 2-1 Cincinnati. Bearcats with single runs in the 5th and 6th. After the Shockers got one in the very first inning, Cam Aldred has been great today for the Bearcats. The Shockers have pieced it together between Preston Snavely, Adam Keller, Keelan Kilgore, and now it's Clayton McGinnis, the 4th pitcher of the day for the Shockers in this rubber match of a 3-game series. Shane Dennis and Denning Gehrig here with you at the ballpark on a bright, sunshiny day. Bark in the Park, beautiful day for baseball, but it has been less than stellar for Wichita State. They've had very few opportunities, only 1 runner in scoring position, and Clayton McGinnis' job will be to keep it right where it is here in the 8th. Give the Shockers a chance to come back in the 8th or 9th if necessary.
26 appearances, 26 innings for the junior right-hander from Amazonia, Missouri. Excellent strikeout to walk ratio, 3-1. He worked in the ballgame on Friday with a scoreless inning that needed just 5 pitches, and he'll be facing 3 right-handers due up in this top of the 8th inning.
So if the Shockers can win this game and they'll take the series, they'll get to 7-11 in the standings in the American. That'll drop Cincinnati to 9-9. And I think even the most optimistic of fans would say, from here on out, what's the best Wichita State can do? And I think the answer would be, and there you see the graphic, would be trade places with Cincinnati. Tulane is certainly within reach the next 2 weekends. And if you do a little scoreboard watching and take care of your business, whether it be a sweep or just series wins from here on out, I think Cincinnati is probably the high water mark in the league, what you could expect if Wichita State does what you hope they would. And that's finish 6th. Now they'll have to take care of their own business and then get a little help, but your thoughts? 6, about as high as we can expect Wichita State if things go well?
I agree. And to me, the good news is that there's no real juggernaut in the American who you are desperately trying to avoid as a 1 or a 2 seed. And ultimately, it comes down to who's going to be a Friday night guy for each one of those teams as to who you want to face. South Florida would take the cake with Shane McClanahan for that, but there's no team that really jumps off the page as, hey, we want to avoid these guys in the first round of the tournament.
0-2 to Joey Thomas, who's worn the collar today. McGinnis turned one loose at 92 there. McGinnis threw up a scoreless inning in the opener. Only had to throw 5 pitches. Strike 3 called. Been a rare strikeout today as Snavely struck out 4, but it's the first strikeout out of the relief corps today. 1 down.
Fastball away. Troutwine sticks it right there for home plate umpire Doyle Suter, and Joey Thomas, being the opposing catcher, in his best interest not to put up much of an argument. Like we said, you're trying to make friends back there, and you want that same pitch for your guy.
Connor McVeigh singled to start the 6th and looked like he scored a run coming around on Joey Weimer's double toward left, but he slid headfirst into Gunnar Troutwine's left foot. Never touched the plate. Troutwine tagged him out, and for the moment, Cincinnati was locked out. But 1 pitch later, they scored anyway. 2-0 to Connor McVeigh, a hit and 3 trips. He is now 6 out of 12 in the series. Shallow left. It looks like Luke Ritter's out there now, and he gathers that one in. Jordan Boyer now playing second for Wichita State. 2 down.
Very nicely done by McGinnis to get 2 of the big right-hand bats towards the top of this Cincinnati order. McVeigh just missed this one, hit it a mile into the air, and not an easy play for an outfielder, but Ritter moving from second to left made this one look fairly routine.
Speaking of Ritter, he'll be due up second in the 8th inning. Not only trying to kickstart Wichita State's offense, but keep that hitting streak going. It's at 19 and holding. Weimer thought about swinging, should have. 0-1. And the Shocker 8th, Cadena, Ritter, and Young, the scheduled hitters. Who will it be against? That's the big question. Two quick strikes, nothing in two.
Aldridge sitting at 99 pitches through 7 innings.
And he kind of started wobbling just a bit with 2 walks in the last half inning. I would say, all things being equal, Wichita State would be thrilled if he leaves, regardless who comes out of the Cincinnati bullpen. Weimer just pounded it off of his front leg.
I'm a little surprised it's not Jared Yoakum warming up down there in the Cincinnati pen as we get another look at Weimer with the big leg kick and right off of that leg into a heap. I always kind of thought the rule of thumb was if you don't use your closer Friday, Saturday, that means they're good for an extended outing on Sunday, at least if it's a close game that warrants it. But neither team has followed that. So far, haven't seen either closer warming up.
And if it's Garrett Shanley, we just mentioned this in passing, it bears repeating. He's pitched once this year. That was last weekend. Strike 3 called. We're going to find out here in a second as the Shockers come to bat down 1 in the bottom of the 8th.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Well, Cam Aldridge's day indeed is done. After 7 innings, 1 hit, and a season-high 10 strikeouts, 99 pitches was apparently enough. And Garrett Shanley, a 6'5" freshman, those numbers are correct. He pitched last weekend against Kansas for the first time all year. A 2-inning save. And so he will get the 8th here in Wichita with the series hanging in the balance. Cincinnati clinging to a 1-run lead.
Pretty big spot for a freshman and a pretty big spot for another freshman leading this off as Ross Cadena will start it for Wichita State, trying to kick off a rally as the Shockers running out of outs.
Cadena is grounded to second and flied to right. He's 1 for 6 in the series. Started the last 2 as the DH. So Cadena, Ritter, and Young facing tall lefty Garrett Shanley. .92 on that first pitch, so Shanley's got plenty in that left arm. Aldridge, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. One of those hits a home run. He is in line for the win. See if Cadena has been ordered to take a strike. Well, if he wasn't, he will be now. 2-0.
Unsurprisingly, as a left-handed pitcher who throws 92 miles an hour and is 6'5", Shanley was selected in the MLB draft this past summer. Went in the 30th round to the Cincinnati Reds and elected not to sign. So he was going to play for Cincinnati no matter what. He just wanted to go to college.
And 30th round is That's not just a throwaway round. It's not early, but it's not, this is our last pick. We'll pick this kid.
Draft and follow.
Yeah. Which I don't even think that exists anymore. 3-0. Tying run is on there. 4-pitch walk. Second inning in a row that Shockers received a leadoff walk. And now here's Ritter, and that'll do it for Ross Cadena, who's being lifted for pinch runner Jacob Catsby.
Luke Ritter's probably going to be in take-a-strike mode as well because none of those were all that close. And you wonder if Shanley's a little bit pumped up because those were some hard fastballs that missed the zone by a sizable margin.
Jared Yoakum is now playing catch in case things get worse for Cincinnati. So McVeigh's in even with the bag at third, protecting against the bunt. Ritter takes one right down the middle at 91. So what do you do here? Got the hottest hitter that is in your lineup and the tying run at first who can run. Showed
Wouldn't
bunt.
that be something?
Took low.
A guy riding a 19-game hitting streak in potentially his last at-bat, willing to square around a sacrifice, or at the very least showing it.
Ritter has no sacrifices this year. This would be a heck of a way to extend the hitting streak, failing to lay down a sacrifice to move the potential game tire over to second and getting him over yourself.
Catsby, by the way, at first base is 3 for 4 stolen bases this year. That was not sold great.
Not exactly. And in addition to Shanley having only pitched once, he's probably not even on a scouting report. I suppose with Wichita State just having played KU, maybe there's a chance he's on it. But that's the only game he's pitched. 2-2. Catsby at first, carrying the tying run. 3-2. And the Cincinnati dugout wants Jared Yoakum to get ready, and now. 3-2. You send Catsby. Not going. Rainbow foul and out of play. We'll do it again.
That's another Chick-fil-A foul ball.
Ritter has struck out 34 times in 167 at-bats entering play today. And you're probably going to get a fastball from Shanley, but he's been also using the slide step. So if it's a strike three of any variety, Catsby's going to be in some trouble.
Wasn't going on the last pitch. Draws a throw here. He was cautious, Catsby was, giving ground to start with. So the opportunities for the Shockers offensively have been few and far between today. Did get a leadoff walk in the 7th, got him as far as second base. Ritter fouls it back again. Habercorn in center is about 12 steps over toward right center. Weimer, the left fielder, way off the line and left. They've been this way to pretty much every Shocker right-hand batter this weekend. Chopper to third, might be two. The 7th double play turned by Cincinnati this weekend. So the failed sacrifice eventually turns into 2 outs for Garrett Shanley. So 2 outs for Travis Young.
Some big-time pitches from Shanley in a 3-2 count with Ritter having fouled off a couple of fastballs elevated. Got one in on him just enough where he couldn't barrel it up and then nicely turned. That's where it helps to have senior to senior, McVeigh to Motice, and then on to first.
Young's at bat becomes a big one because if he reaches, Bohm would represent the go-ahead run. And, of course, the heart of the order for the Shockers is going to come up one way or the other, but will it come in this inning or when they are down to their final 3 outs? Young has struck out 3 times. Bohm, as usual, has been a tough out. So Shanley with a 4-pitch walk to start the 8th. And the sacrifice situation, you could argue, helped him get his feet on the ground because he threw a strike to Ritter and then Luke fouled one back trying to bunt. And after a long battle, ended up getting a double play. And nowhere near on the first 2 against Travis Young. See if Young takes here. 2-1. A telling part of the season for Wichita State, their first year in the American. Just above the belt, 3-1. And you would think one way or the other, this is Shanley's last batter.
Yes. Very little chance he'd stay in to face Bohm. With Yoakum ready, sidewinding right-hander, and Bohm, of course, a righty in the on-deck circle.
3-1. 4th walk issued to the Shockers in the last 2 innings.
Third baseman, Alec Bohm.
Or not.
This shows what we know. Shanley with a good arm, but a left-hand pitcher. So, at least for the moment, Scott Guggen's not going out to the mound with the hook. He's going to let Shanley, the freshman, pitch to Bohm, likely first-round draft pick. Troutwine would be next. And Young, of course, with a lot of speed at first, if Bohm can find a gap, might be given the opportunity to score. First things first. Yoakum is ready, but Shanley is going to get the opportunity to get Bohm. Well, now, Denning, the teams have taken turns kind of giving away some charity. Shockers early, Cincinnati late.
Shanley's thrown 19 pitches. 13 of them have been balls.
And does Bohm get the green light here? Well, that was a pitcher's pitch, whether he did or not. 2-1. Bohm, solo home run in the first. Ground ball to short in the 4th. Fly ball to deep right in the 6th. 3-1.
Well, cutter looked like 84 miles an hour from Shanley. And, of course, living high 80s, low 90s with everything else. That time tried to work it to the back foot of Bohm, but now he is in a dangerous count to a dangerous hitter.
This is what Bohm is up there for, situations like this. Three and two.
Don't see that very often. Not often that you can get Bohm to expand the zone in a 3-1 count. And Shanley again took something off, that time 80 miles an hour. And gets Alec to chase, working down and in. And first base umpire John Osmus says he went around. Young will get the head start.
Got to make him go home, though. Tying run at first, 2 outs. Shanley, the freshman, against Bohm, the junior. Worth a try if you're Shanley. And if I'm Travis Young, I'm not starting until it's halfway home.
I agree.
Shanley, the freshman, has the Shockers down to their final 3 outs after 2 walks in the 8th.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
First baseman Eric Santiago.
So Eric Santiago, 1 out of 3, double in the 4th. Well, you look back, Denning, on the bottom of the 8th for Wichita State. You had Cadena drew a 4-pitch walk, and then Ritter in a bunting situation, eventually on a 3-2 pitch, bounced into a double play. And then Young walked, and then Bohm got way ahead in the count. So Garrett Shanley did all the things you're not supposed to do in a close game late, and yet you got to give him credit, made the pitches when he had to. And now apparently Scott Guggens has an issue about Wichita State's personnel out there, apparently. Noah Croft is catching for Wichita State.
Well, yeah, for Shanley, he walked the 2 lesser hitters that were due up and got the 2 better ones. Both times in full count situations. Made big pitches for a freshman, and Wichita State will be kicking themselves that they couldn't do more with the charity.
And conversely, the Shockers, in big situations earlier in the game, balked home a run and threw a pass ball that allowed a run. Now, the pass ball came with one out and a runner at third and the infield in, so you can't assume that, well, if not for the pass ball, they'd have been okay, but I guess we'll never know. And in the Shockers' ninth, they'll have Croft now, Genesta and Duga scheduled. Down at least one. McGinnis trying to keep it that way. Shockers are 1-11 this year when trailing after 8 innings. That one was that win at Oklahoma State earlier this year. And catcher's interference. So now I think we've officially seen everything.
Not what you want to do on your first hitter into the ball game as a new catcher. As Croft had the glove too far out there, we'll be able to see it on the side swing.
Yep.
Tipped it on the way through, and very easy call for home plate umpire Doyle Suter.
Four walks, 2 hit batters, and now catcher's interference. And now Todd Butler's going to go to the bullpen, and he's going to turn to his closer, Chandler Sandburn, to try to keep this right where it is. 1 on, nobody out, top of the 9th. Shockers trail it by 1. Here comes Sandburn.
Become a part of history at Wichita State University by helping us complete X Stadium. A new 10,000 square foot performance facility will give our baseball, softball, tennis, and golf student athletes the strength and conditioning training space they need. Your tax-deductible gift will help us knock it out of the park. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shock the world.
Dondre Bremner due up with a runner at first and nobody out. He'll be facing Shocker short man Chandler Sandburn, senior from Avon, Indiana. Non-safe situation, but he's been really good this year. 0-2 with a record, 7 saves, his first 7 of his career. Strikeout numbers really what are eye-popping, and he could use one here and probably a bunting situation for Bremner.
We talked about potential draft candidates for Wichita State. Of course, Bohm, Genesta, and Hoyer kind of headline things, but Chandler Sandburn has definitely put himself on some draft radars with this kind of senior season. Fastball velocity, that's his calling card. It'll get up into the mid-90s and even some upper 90s at times. 42 strikeouts in just over 24 innings.
Bremner with no sacrifice bunts on the year. Santiago, the first baseman, a short lead at first. And 1 ball and no strikes. Job 1, of course, for Sandburn is throw it over the plate. Sandburn generally has been good with his control. 9 walks in 24 2/3. Eases that one in there, 1-1. Well, the Shockers had chances in the 7th and 8th and were turned away. And so they're trying to return the favor after Cincinnati put the leadoff man on with a catcher's interference here in the ninth. Sanborn falls down, and everybody's safe. It was hard enough, I think, for Sanborn to get Santiago at second, but he slipped, bobbled, and Bremner safe at first.
That kind of day for Wichita State, that kind of series at times, as Sanborn's going to be charged with an error. Bunted really sharply and right back to him and was trying to set the feet, plant the feet, and make the throw. And that was a dangerous throw to make to first base. Probably should have just eaten the baseball.
Exactly right.
As his work cut out for him now.
So now here's Haberkorn. 2 errors in the inning. Catcher's interference technically goes in as an error on the catcher. Haberkorn, in his only official at bat, was robbed on a running catch by the center fielder Travis Young. He's walked and been hit. And Noah Croft has had a tough top of the 9th inning. And the Shockers are really in trouble now. 2 errors and a wild one. And Wichita State can't seem to get out of its own way today.
Yeah, Croft just wasn't able to slide over in time, and that skips by him all the way to the backstop. The Shockers will be forced to bring the infield all the way in, and thankfully they're at a part of the order where there's some outs to be found, but Haberkorn has proven to be a tough customer.
So all the infielders, as you can see, even with the baselines. And that is certainly going to do it. A long one to right, and gone. Haberkorn makes it 5-1, and that may just put the Shockers out of their misery today. Haberkorn's 3rd home run of the year. So 2 errors and a home run. And now Cincinnati is feeling pretty good.
Obviously, Haberkorn sitting dead red, looking for a fastball out over that he could drive, and he got one from Sanborn, lifting it over the right field fence and finally giving Cincinnati some breathing room.
5th home run permitted by Sanborn this year. So this has been a frustrating day for the Shockers. And again, it's been a battle searching for consistency, Denning. Just playing a complete, and not just squeaky clean game of baseball, but having one facet of your team not just totally go away.
Yeah, I mean, the home run is bad, but look at all the events preceding it.
Exactly.
As Baker pops it up. But
a big league pop-up to the right side of the diamond. Well handled by Genisto, one away.
Catcher's interference, error, wild pitch. You put yourself in those positions enough times, bad things are going to happen.
A hit by pitch, led off the 5th inning. He came around to score. And Wichita State, as we mentioned, have gotten walks in each of the last 2 innings to start their frames, but nobody got farther than second base. Been a confounding last couple of weeks for the Shockers in conference play. Jordan Ramey has walked twice and hit a long one to left field that Jackson ran down. So one of those runs will be charged to Clayton McGinnis. It'll be unearned. The other two to Sandburn. One of them is. And he threw one at 95 right on by Jordan Ramey. Catcher's interference, an error on a bunt, a wild pitch, and a home run. And Ramey shoots one back through the middle, and the inning continues. Jordan Ramey's third hit of the year, second of the weekend.
2-2 fastball, stays out over the middle of the plate, and Ramey short to the baseball. Able to drive that one back where it came from. Cincinnati now looking to add on. Wichita State just 3 outs to try and get at least 4. They'd prefer that margin not get any bigger.
Yeah, 4 will be tough enough. See if Ramey tests the battery of Sandburn and Croft. I wouldn't know why he wouldn't. Stole a base in the third inning, Ramey did, after his walk. Draws a throw and picked up nicely by Grayson Genista.
Not an easy pick over here from Genista. And if this gets by him down the right field line, that might have been 2 bases for Ramey. Just a erratic top half of the 9th inning for Wichita State.
Runner goes, they kind of pitch out, and Croft out at second base. Whether he was out to begin with, I don't know, but Ramey overslid the bag and was tagged out. Wisely, Vickers kept it on him.
This is what you're taught to do as a middle infielder, is to keep tags on base runners, because it is hard to stop. When you're going full speed and then go into a dive, it's very easy to slide past the bag. This was a really strong throw by Croft, and I think Ramey might have been out anyway. Then he dove back, I think touched the base, and then took his hand off and touched it again.
He's out about 3 times, maybe, if you wanted to ring him each time. Base is empty for Mo Tice. Changes the complexion of the inning a little. That Habercorn 3-run homer really stings. Shockers are going to need at least 4 to keep this one going. Second base runner that Croft has gunned down trying to steal this year. Hasn't caught all that much. The inning's not over yet.
Uncharacteristic shakiness here from Chandler Sandburn. The fastball command has not really been there, and has left some pitches out over to Habercorn and Ramey, and now having a hard time locating the strike zone to Mo Tice.
And if you're Mo Tice, do you take off? Against a guy throwing 95, and tough to string some things together with 2 outs, so maybe. No, they won't have to. And Mike Steele is going to bring things to a halt and try to calm down Chandler Sandburn. So Sandburn, while he's been out there, fielded a bunt, slipped, fell down, dropped the ball, then promptly gave up a home run. Got a pop out, a single, a caught stealing, a walk, and that's going to be judged a passed ball. Probably could have gone either way, but it's been an ugly Sunday for the pitching staff for Mike Steele. Snavely never could settle in after a couple of good innings to start it. He got in real trouble in the third, worked his way out of it. And then in the fifth, Todd Butler had seen enough, turned it over to Adam Keller to try to bail him out. Keller balked in a run. That made it 1-1. And then a passed ball led to the go-ahead run. And catcher's interference, that fielding error by Sanborn, and now another pass ball after a walk, has kept the inning going even after a single and a stolen base.
Pitching staff was living dangerously through those first, really, 6 innings. Even with the 2 runs across, it felt like it was a fine line to walk and very easily could have been a much larger deficit. And it is all falling apart here in the top of the 9th.
Well, the Shocker pitching was under siege all night Friday, too. Try to pick play at second. Boyer a little late getting there. Joey Thomas has worn the collar today, 0 for 4. Homestand continues Tuesday night. We'll have it for you on WSU TV. Oral Roberts comes to town. That one clips the inside edge, 2-2. And by the way, Denning, with Preston Snavely starting today, that certainly brings into question who will pitch for Wichita State Tuesday and Wednesday. Might have to wait until then to find out.
We had speculated Adam Keller might be a candidate for one of those, and he promptly worked an inning and a third in relief today. So
runner goes to third. That one sprayed foul. And you would think with not only a game in the midweek, but 2, a struggling and maybe fatigued Liam Eddy going to have to make a midweek start. Got to have somebody eat up some innings.
One of those games, if not both, is going to be Johnny Holstaff for sure. Could see a reliever starting it, just trying to go 2 or 3 innings at most, and then hand it off to the next guy.
That pick a little closer. Timing play with the catcher Croft signaling when to spin and throw. One big swing of the bat here in the 9th from Treg Habercorn. After the 2 previous reached on errors, Habercorn with a home run to right. Runner goes to third. Croft, and Bohm was not close enough to the bag to get there.
Cincinnati runners have not been shy when they are on second base of making it clear their intentions are to go.
4 steals today. That's 9 in the series. Three and 2 to Joey Thomas. Mercifully for the Shockers, the 9th inning comes to a close. Last chance for Wichita State, down 4.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
That 3 spot in the top of the 9th inning by Cincinnati has bought Garrett Shanley another inning. It is 5-1, and Wichita State very conceivably could have gone, or can go, the entire 3-game series without seeing Cincinnati's closer. It was a Bearcat rout in Game 1, a Shocker rout in Game 2, and far enough out the gate where Garrett Shanley, who's making only his 2nd outing of the year, worked out of trouble that he created himself in the 8th. Will face Croft, Genista, and Dugas here in the 9th. Shockers lead 4 to keep it going.
We'll see if Wichita State is in take a strike mode as they were in the bottom half of the 8th when Shanley was kind of battling the command just a little bit. Ended up having to throw 23 pitches to get through that 8th inning. And only couple of them were strikes. There was a lot of fastball issues in terms of command, but Wichita State is going to need some help.
I can't imagine any Shocker hitter would swing at the first pitch. Not only was he wild in the 8th, he had to set over there a while in the 9th. Shockers had a hard time closing out the Bearcats in the top of the inning. 0-1 to Noah Croft. Croft is 15 out of 48, 313. One of those hits a home run. Held up just in time, 1-2. So Troutwine finishes 1 for 2 with a walk. He was replaced by Noah defensively last half inning. And down he goes on 4 pitches.
You know, we talked about avoiding Yoakum as kind of the closer for Cincinnati, but in reality, this Bearcat team has had 7 guys record at least 1 save this year, so more than one arm in that left field bullpen capable of getting the final 3 outs, or in the case of Shanley here, the final 6.
A couple teams in this league wouldn't have what you'd call a true closer. Yoakum, by the way, who we haven't seen yet, 5 wins in 21 appearances, so he's not just a back into the bullpen kind of guy. Oh, and 2. Genista rung up on a half swing. So not much time to dwell on this if you're Wichita State. 5-game week starting day after tomorrow. It'll be Oral Roberts, South Dakota State, and South Florida comes to town for the first time ever next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's the thing about baseball, Denning. Number one, there you see the schedule, next two games here on WSU TV. Number one, you don't get a chance to gloat and feel good about yourself too much if you're riding high, but really no time to feel sorry for yourself if the opposite's true. Baseball's an everyday sport.
The thin margins of error for Wichita State get a little bit thinner, though, with each loss.
True.
For sure. They have worked themselves firmly onto the bubble as far as the NCAA tournament goes and securing an at-large bid, and losing 2 of 3 at home over the weekend series will not help.
And on one hand, it's nothing a little winning streak can't cure, but it's something within the league that Shockers haven't been able to turn the trick yet as far as putting together a winning streak. They've only been able to win one series. Dugas is the final hope for Wichita State today. He's been on there twice. And with that train of thought, we're talking baseball's an everyday sport. Yeah, you get the opportunity to play starting on Tuesday, but can your frame of mind improve well enough within a 48-hour period that you can forget about this weekend and attack the new week with a clean slate? I think really everybody would agree, Denning, that this is kind of the dog days of college baseball. You know, you're getting down toward the end of the league, conference tournaments right around the corner, bats a little heavier, your feet drag a little more. Don't exactly have that pep in your step like you did 1st of March. Cincinnati has taken 2 of 3 from Wichita State, and the Bearcats move to 10-8 in the league. 5-1 your final here on Bark in the Park Day at X Stadium.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
For one of the few times this year, Wichita State scored first and failed to win. A first-inning home run by Alec Boehm got the Shockers off to a good start, but it was certainly not a harbinger of things to come, Denning, because Cam Aldred, Cincinnati's starting pitcher, was great. Wichita State's pitching was shaky at best, and Cincinnati takes the series.
Aldred was fantastic. The 10 strikeouts over 7 innings, a big reason why Wichita State only mustered 2 singles after that Alec Boehm home run and really never threatened much. They did get the leadoff man aboard in the 8th, but as has been the case for so many times in this series, a double play right after that took the heat out of the rally, and one big swing from Treg Haberkorn was all that Cincinnati needed to run away with this.
That's 2 consecutive Sundays that the Shocker offense has been held to just 3 hits, tying a season low. So the series goes to Cincinnati 5-1. We'll be back here Tuesday night at 6 o'clock on WSU TV. For Denning Garrick, for all of our WSU TV crew, Shane Dennis saying thanks for watching. Have a pleasant Sunday, everybody, and so long from X Stadium.